work out of during the sales process when we have clients coming in and walking through the houses. So these houses, some of them are generally very, very upgraded. So there is a lot of upgrades to these houses, and some of them have the display offices out of them. So these are quite unique, the way we draw them and what we show in it. I'll share my screen now. Amani, would you like to share my screen and you can take it from there?
It just worked. It's not.
Just worked? Right, perfect. Yeah, go for it.
Cool. Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Amani. This is Amani. Amani, đi cả thử. Mới thay mặt lần đầu.
Alrighty. Sorry, I'm just trying to find. Right, perfect. Cool. So today we'll be going through displays, as Andrew said before. Andrew, all good to start?
Yep, go for it.
Cool. Alrighty. So I've just put together a little document with the requirements and the main things we need to show on these display plans, because they are a little different to the normal plans we show. The normal things we do show on plans, there's a few extra things. So the first thing we'll go to.
Sorry, yep. Money. You can look at the plans yep. on the next slide, team, so you can actually visualize the items that Amani is going to be covering off here. So this page here, you can look at this page as Amani talks about the items on the previous page. So you can go back to the last page, Amani.
And yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to jump in.
No.
That's the way. Perfect. So yeah, if you guys turn to the site plan page, I can go through these points and you can see exactly where these items are. So the first one is the all relevant setbacks. So as we do with our normal standard plans, just ensure all the setbacks are on the plans, the side, the rear, the front. The building envelope, same sort of thing. So just make sure the building envelope is hatched in. So if we look at this page, just where the hatch is. So just ensure that that's hatched in. The spotlight to front boundary. So an item that we put on our display site plan, which we don't on normal plans, is a spotlight location. So for example, as you can see here, a spotlight is just a light that gives that, yeah, it's pretty much a spotlight. So where we put that generally is we half, so whatever the site is, we half it and then try and center it to the front boundary. So on the, oh, lost my mouse. Yep, so over here, it's just there. So it's kind of an indicative location. So that needs to go on every single display job. So just ensure you put that on there. Riser pipes and Aggie drains as required. So in the tender, this will be an item in the tender. Sometimes it's not, but all displays will need to have this, is riser pipes. So we put 3 on each side and we just put kind of an indicative location, but just try to center them to the path. And they're generally 450 away from the external wall. So from that wall to the drain would be 450. And we have to note it down. We have to actually note that down. So you just put a little note saying riser pipe to be located at 450 from external wall. Okay. Another thing we add onto the plans is a path. So same thing, every display job needs this. So it's a concrete path. It's generally 900 millimeters wide. And what you do, you start it off from the return fence all the way to the end of the dwelling, not the end of the alfresco, end of the dwelling. And same thing on the other side from the garage. So from the garage door, we return it, we do like a little nib to return to the end of the dwelling. So same sort of thing. And we also add the riser pipes on that side. So generally the tender item will say provide 6 riser pipes around the dwelling, when it says that, this is exactly what it means. So 3 on either side. Sometimes the garage will be set back 1 metre off the boundary. So just ensure the path wraps around that. So wraps around similar to this side if the garage is 1 metre off the boundary. And then what you'd do in that case, you'd add the 2 riser pipes to this side, and then 1 in the middle because it's extended around the path. Perfect. Another thing we do on display plans is we remove the condenser unit and hot water service pad footings. So the reason why we do this, because it is a display, so it's a temporary structure, because after the display period, we will remove, so the condenser unit is required for the air conditioning unit. After the display period, we remove that. So they're temporary structures. So that's why we don't provide a condenser unit, a condenser pad within the slab plan, as it's a temporary structure. So what we need to do in that case is we need to note, so we just show the hot water service or the condenser unit. This example doesn't have a condenser unit, but you do pretty much do the same thing. Put the hot water service, delete the slab, and you just add the setback from the start of the object to the boundary without a slab. Another thing that's missing on here that you need to do is you just need to do an arrowed note to say hot water service, no pad required. No pad required in brackets. I think we'll go through on the floor plan. I'll show you an example of how to note that down. Perfect. And the same thing. Yep. Great. If anyone has any questions, let me know. So path around the side boundaries, that's what we went through. We need to add the path dimensions, the width, length, and setter of the path. So forgot to mention, as you put the path, you need to do the dimensions for it, just so they know exactly where they're pouring the concrete for this path. So as you can see here, path set out and the path. And we also add the path return, just so we know how much we're returning it by. Okay. With the display home fencing, so you always go through as per normal. We go through the guidelines, check the requirements, and we just add them in as normal. Fence return, same thing. The guidelines will specify we need it to be 1 metre behind front building wall. You'll put that fence return exactly where it's meant to go. Perfect. So for also displays, we don't need to create a landscape plan. It'll be completed in-house by a different department, but what we need to do is ensure we add a standard landscape note. And the standard landscape note is this note over here, highlighted in yellow. And the note says that a landscape plan be submitted prior to occupation as a display or residence. This condition must be complied with for this approval to be valid. So this note has to be on every single display job to save us from completing the landscape plan at this point. So the point of this note is that once we do it for developer approval, the developer will approve that on the basis that we will provide a landscape plan at a later stage. Okay. Perfect. So that's all for the site plan. Does anyone have any questions, or does that pretty much make sense? Yeah.
Amani, so yep. I got a question.
Yep.
You mean we no longer do draw the landscape plan from now?
Yeah.
We replace this by not landscape, not on site plan.
Yeah. So if we put that note on the site plan, we don't need a landscape plan. But this is only for the display home jobs, any jobs that are display homes. I will notify when I send through the work order request. I'll be notifying which jobs are a display home and which jobs are, so that you know that these items need to be drawn on them, and not to produce a landscape plan for it. So there'll be the you'll be able to understand which is which when I send through the work order request.
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Any other questions or?
Hi, morning.
Hello.
About the bath around the side battery, we will show from now to filter. Is it standard tool for on job?
No, this is just for the display homes. So these items that we're showing you now are unique just to display homes. So the path around the dwelling, the riser pipes that we show, and the hot water service and condenser units not being on a pad footing like we normally have, they sit on the concrete path. These items are unique just to the displays, mainly because we're going to be we do the landscaping for these houses, and we have clients walking through them and selling to sell the product. So we try to do something very unique on them. So only these items you won't need to worry about these ones for the standard client files, but mainly for the display jobs. The reason why we felt that it's very important that we run this session is because a lot of all the display jobs that we've had received back so far have had the same issues on them, the same items missed. But it's not a fault by you. It's just that you got you're not aware of the unique items that we need to show on these displays. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Not a problem.
Awesome. Cool. So we'll move on now to the actual floor plan. I can show you, I'll show you an example, but for now we'll just go through these dot points. The floor plan is pretty straightforward. There's just little bits and pieces that we do need to show. So the first item is the timber windows to the facade and corner treatment if applicable. Ensure they are labelled on the floor plan as timber and also reflected in this window schedule. So pretty much, so as you can see here, see how there's that window, it's an awning and it's double glazed. So if the tender does say to provide timber windows, which pretty much on every single display we do, you just need to ensure that you label it as timber. So it'll be 514 2410 timber awning. And we also need to reflect that on the window schedule. Okay, so pretty straightforward. Another thing we do show on the window schedule while we're at that topic is this note here. And it says all window head heights to be taken from dwelling floor level. That's just something we need to add to every single display window schedule. Okay. Another thing is the alfresco. We need to add tiles to the alfresco because they do generally tile the alfresco. So just show the standard tile hatch that we normally show just to the alfresco. Perfect. So this next point is really important. It's whether we are providing a sales office or garage. So the way to know is you refer to the tender. The tender will say provide garage or provide a sales office, and it will have a whole bunch of items relating to the sales office. If that is the case, then you'll need to add the sales office, which we will go through, and I'll go through what we need to show and include on there. Another thing, if it doesn't, sometimes the tender isn't clear enough. If it's not clear enough, refer to the marked up plans. They generally have all the detail you need in there and a summary of the tender. Okay, which we should be cross-referencing with when doing these display jobs. So I will go through them in the next slide, but just to stick with the floor plan, also check window spacings to ensure they are spaced out as per brick course. So whenever you're placing windows, just make sure that they are to brick course, just to keep it consistent. The next one is plans to be amended as per provided sketch plans and clarified if not reflected in the tender. So because these displays have little, a few extras here and there, sometimes they're not reflected in the tender. So you might get the sketch plan and you might see something that's not on that's not in the tender. With displays, we need to actually draw what's on the sketch plan because that's what the display should look like. If you do find something like that, you could either let us know just to, you know, provide you clarity whether you should provide it or not, or you could just, yeah, do it, but make sure you clarify and let us know that you've done this to the plans. Just so when we issue the job, we can let the relevant departments know to add it to the tender and have that all reflected and documented. Yeah. Cool. The next item is hampers to match adjacent bulkheads over cabinetry. So let's say we've got a kitchen. I should have provided an example, but pretty much if we've got a kitchen and next to it is a hamper, so like an opening, let's say into a walk-in pantry, the height of that hamper will be matched to the adjacent bulkhead, just so they're all consistent. And to the eye, they're at the same height.
So the note that we put for the kitchen bulkhead, so do you know how we normally put a note saying 20 to 80 from floor level, the new note we add for the bulkheads? You'll add a very similar note to the hamper just for the displays, just so we can ensure that the hamper height is consistent with the height of the bulkhead.
Yep.
What we'll do is after the training session, we'll send you, I believe we've already sent you this document. We'll send you a complete set of display plans that we've issued so that you can have as your reference.
Yeah. Perfect. Cool. Another thing on the floor plans. So just like we spoke about on the site plan, this needs to continue also on the floor plan. So the standard notes, so the condenser unit and hot water service. This note must be added to all elevations to the condenser unit or hot water service is visible on. So the condenser unit for split system, in brackets, node pad footing required. So pretty much this note here needs to be placed on the site plan, floor plan, and every elevation that item is visible on, or that object is visible on, just to cover us on all sides, all angles. Perfect. That's pretty much on the floor plan, and then just all the standard stuff, everything from the tender, just add to the floor plan. But these are just the main things that have been missed before that we should be adding. So yeah. Oh, sorry, just the last point is a raked ceiling. We'll go through that later on in the slide. So it's pretty much, we do it on the garage boundary. I'll show you how to represent that and we'll go through it. Does anyone have any questions about the floor plan? Any questions at all? Or no? Perfect. All right, we'll move on. So the raked ceiling. Perfect. So for all displays, we need to provide a rake to the garage boundary wall. And what that is the garage. Perfect. So you're drawing, so the way to draw a rake is you draw eaves around the garage, right? So you draw eaves around the garage and then you push the roof 450 in. Then you select, so you select the roof around the garage, push it in 450, and then draw in a dashed line where the pitching point lands. Then you draw in the remaining rake representation. I will on the sales office elevations example I'll demonstrate what that rake ceiling is and how it works within the roof space. But yeah, pretty much if the item does say, which on every display we do, to provide a rake ceiling, you'd need to do this step. So draw in the roof, push it in 450, where the pitching point lands, which is generally 450 from the end of the stud to the start of the rake, or to the end of the rake. That's where you draw the dashed line. Put another dashed line on an angle and label rake ceiling. Whenever we're providing this type of ceiling too, we have to provide a 450 eave to the rear. Oop. All right, and this is what the sales office looks like. So if in the tender it says to provide a sales office, this is what it should look like. So on all jobs that say you need a sales office, you provide 2 by 920 doors, 965 including the frames, or otherwise stated in the tender. It's very rare, but usually most times it's always at this dimension, so 920 doors. So these 2 doors on the side. The sales office cabinetry and desk as per standard template. I believe you guys have access to the sales office template, which is located here in the O drive, production estimating. We've put it in the RFI folder, and it's the display home drafting templates. In there, we've got the CAD file for the sales office, so you can literally just copy and paste it onto your job that you're working on to make it easier. But yeah, just everything. So from the cabinetry, the chairs, the desk, everything needs to be on there. The electrical sleeve must be dimensioned. The split system, there's always a window to the rear. And this stuff is, like I said, it's specified in the tender. We generally provide a powder room to the sales office and the entry door. So this will be a garage. So the garage entry door will be located near the toilet here, because this is a temporary structure which will eventually be removed. So as we spoke about, sales office cabinetry, powder room layout. So another thing we need to provide is the internal elevations of the sales office must be drawn. This includes the powder room, raked ceiling must also be drawn too. So just providing general internal elevations. And once again, those internal elevations are available to you in the sales office template to make it easy. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. We do put a window in between the 2 doors too, which must be added. Okay. So this is how it'll look like on the front elevation. So the tender will specify the height and width of the doors required. The tender will also specify the size and type of the future garage door to be installed. This must be notated. So there'll be an item in the tender that says provide future COLORBOND sectional garage door or timber grain door, whatever it specifies. We need to put an arrowed note to there and include this word here. So future, that's the key word. Future COLORBOND sectional garage door, and put in the height and width specified on there. So that's what it looked like. And this is how the internal elevations will look like. So all this stuff too will also be in the sales plan. So if you're a bit unsure on what cabinetry, how wide, you can look in the sales plan and they'll specify exactly what we need. So that's the rake there, you can see where it's raking. So that's elevation 1, so that's looking at it this way. Elevation 2 is showing the cabinetry and the pantries at the back, and that's where the rake is. So that's where it rakes in the garage. And we're showing it on all elevations visible. Another thing with the powder room, this is standard for all jobs too. This is how we generally do the powder room to the sales office. So we add tiles, so at 860 high. We add a standard trough or a standard basin, and then the mirror at 1.1 high. And just remove the fill from inside. Yep, that's how it is standard. Yeah. Perfect. Any questions on the sales office?
So with regards to the sales office, if you look at the sales plans, the marked up sales plans in the sales folder on these jobs, it will clearly nominate which house is a display house, has the sales office, and which one does not. Not all of them have a sales office, because what happens, we'll build 2 or 3 houses side by side, and only one of them will have a sales office. And then what would happen is when we do the landscaping, we'll build a fence across all 3 of them. And client, in order to enter the last house, they have to enter through the sales office. So that's why we have 2 doors on the sales office. They'll enter through the right door and exit through the left door to enter all the the other 2 display houses. So don't worry about trying to understand which one is the sales office, which one's not. If you look at the sales plans, it'll clearly indicate which one will have the sales office. Once you see that note, you'll go to the reference material that Armani mentioned, and you can copy and paste this, and it'll fall right in place. Yes.
Sorry, Andrew, and sorry, Armani. Just give me a few minutes to explain this to the team.
Yep, go
So
for it.
they clearly understand. Các bạn hiểu cái chỗ này không? Đi họp thì không thấy ai ghi chép gì hết trơn. Cái này có nghĩa là các bạn vẽ cái nhà display home thì giống như là họ sẽ phát triển một cái khu đất đó, đúng không? Họ làm hạ tầng rồi họ xây mấy cái display home lên, rồi họ sẽ dẫn khách tới để mà họ chào bán mấy cái nhà trong cái khu đó. Thì giống như bên sale bất động sản của mình đã làm thôi, nó xây mấy cái nhà mẫu, display home là mấy cái nhà mẫu thôi. Thì nó sẽ không phải là một cái nhà mẫu mà nó sẽ xây vài cái nhà mẫu liền kề nhau. Thì một trong số những cái nhà mẫu đó nó sẽ có cái sale office để mà vô họ làm việc. Thì để mà đi qua được những cái nhà khác á, nó phải vô cái sale office này rồi nó mới đi qua những cái nhà khác. Thì thường họ sẽ làm một cái lối vào thôi, xong rồi landscape là họ sẽ làm chung hết. Thì trên đây nó mới có 2 cái cửa và nó ngăn nhau bằng một cái hàng rào, theo anh hiểu là vậy đó. Thì mình vô một bên rồi mình vào bằng cái cửa này, mình ra bằng cái cửa kia. Thì ở đây ý Andrew nói là giải thích thêm cho các bạn hiểu thôi, nhưng mà trong cái file, trong cái tài liệu của mình nó yêu cầu làm gì thì mình làm cái đó thôi. Chỉ giải thích thêm cho các bạn hiểu cái quy trình đó là như vậy. Ok.
Ok.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next big part of display homes is the electrical plan. But generally just as a checklist, so I'll probably get a job up just as an example.
So those of you who have drawn the display homes already so far, you will recognize how quite in depth and how the intricacy of the display homes, the electrical plan. But again, in the reference material that Armani referred to earlier, there is examples, there is CAD files that you can actually open the CAD file and copy all these notes and all these items and paste it directly into your job.
Alrighty. So this is an example of a display home electrical plan. It is quite in depth and there's a lot of items, but a lot of these items will be in the tender. And we also, every single job has electrical plan markups. So I'll show you an example actually. Oh, no, doesn't want to. We'll go through it a bit later on, but just as a so that. Yeah, so there'll be an electrical plan markup and you just add it as per the markups and the tender. And then as Andrew said, with the electrical plan template, all the symbols are in there. So if it says to provide, because this is every display home we add, 2 number motion sensors. If you don't know what they look like or how to represent them, just jump onto the electrical plan template and it'll have it there. So you'll add it in. But for example, the motion sensors would be, yep, so there you go, like a 360 motion sensor. So if the tender says to provide 1 motion sensor to the entry, you add it as per the sales plan where it's exactly marked, you put it on the plans. Perfect, so motion sensors. Another thing that's different to normal jobs is speakers connected to the sales office. So we do have some speakers throughout the home. So that's that symbol, that symbol. If you look at the legend, after the meeting, if you guys just look at an example and go through the legend and see what the items reflect, you'll be able to make sense of what each object is referring to and what the tender is referring to too. So it's pretty straightforward, just add as per tender and sales plan. It does get confusing with the notes. So my tip would be, so my tip, best way to tackle the electrical items is to open an example or template, read the tender. If it says to provide an item, jump onto that example, see what they've provided, and see what note they've provided for that item. The main notes are for the supply and install remote duress system, stuff like that. So if the tender says to supply and install a remote duress system, that's a note. So you just add it on there. But if you look at that job example, you can make use of what to add and what not to show. The sales office electrical template, you can pretty much copy and paste onto your job whenever there's a sales office. So do that, open up the sales plan, just cross-reference, make sure everything's on there, and it all should be good. Another thing we show are surveillance cameras, which will be marked up too. And also junction boxes. So with junction boxes, this note is very important and it needs to be on there. Pendant light, wiring and ceiling space for pendant location, TBD on site. So this note must be where the junction boxes are. Usually we provide it to the alfresco. Sometimes they're in the meals or family. Just depends on the job and what the tender has specified. The condenser unit, yeah, it's all pretty straightforward. All this stuff, all these notes, they're all in the sales office electrical template, which you can copy. Also, if it does specify, I've noticed on some jobs, if it does specify for the GPO, TV point or data point to be at a certain height, always add the semicircle dashed and just put a little note saying, yeah, like this. So GPO, TV and data point at 1.1 meters or millimeters high above FFL. So just a standard note like that.
This little there that Amani went through with the heights of the GPO and data points, that is a good thing that we should actually be showing on our current drawings as well, on all our client files as well. So if on some jobs where we do get a request to have our GPO or our internet points or phone points raised at a certain heights, we should be notating it the exact same way as it is noted here. So we put the arched semicircle with an arrow pointing to it, noting these items to be at 1100 from floor level, if that is the height.
Perfect. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And music and CCTV link locations, split systems to sales office, photo cell locations, alarm keypads, all this stuff needs to will be nominated on the sales plan, the sketch. So you just need to add it on there and ensure all the relevant notes are put up here. So it's job by job, case by case, depends what they've got on. You would add the notes on top as a general notes page. But yeah, just ensure, look, one tip, just ensure that the legend, you use the symbols that are in the electrical plan template and don't just make up circles or anything else, just so the quantity is accurate and we just keep it consistent with all display homes.
Right, so Amani, I'll start sharing my screen now. Do you want to cancel sharing?
Yeah, that's all done. Yep.
So what I'll do now is I'll do a quick CAD guide through for you to show you how to do the raked ceilings. So firstly, can everyone see my screen? Can you see my screen, Amani?
Yeah.
Yep, perfect. So firstly, in the O drive, the PG data drive, there is, in the RFI folder, there is a folder that says display home drafting material templates, like Amani said. In here, there is a checklist for display homes. There is also a sales office electrical template. In here, there is an ArchiCAD for the sales office template. You can copy your sales office, the drawing and all the items off it. There is also PDFs, which are these ones here. What these are, this one, sorry. what these are the electrical template for the sales office, the external light example for the photo cell, so what to draw, how to draw it, 2 different versions. So one with junction boxes and a downlight, and another one with just 3 downlights. And again, this will be drawn on the marked up sales plates. Another version of the sales office template, which also shows the heights of your GPOs and items in the cabinet. And then the final version, so this one has no WC in it. This one has a WC in it. So even it's 2 different versions. Okay. So for the raked ceiling, I've seen some raked ceilings and they're drawn incorrectly. So it is very important with the ceiling line. This pitching point is always for a standard brick wall or 240 brick wall. It was always 150 mil off the edge of the slab, because this is where our stud work will start. So for this roof, you find that line there, that's our pitching point of the roof. It's 150 mil from the edge of the slab. With regards to a raked ceiling, our pitching point actually moves in further to get that rake look. Generally, what will happen for a raked ceiling, there is 450 eaves to the front of the dwelling. To show you what it normally looks like on a standard file, we've got a front elevation. So here you go. On our standard files, when you see, I don't have any eaves or gutters, I haven't drawn any eaves or gutters on this one. But if for a standard, if we've got eaves to the garage, you see how it's got a cut eave on the end here. For our displays, we don't like the look of this cut eave because it looks, it's not very appealing and it doesn't look nice. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick screenshot of this so that when I show you what the eave looks like, you'll actually see the difference of what happens when we actually do the raked eave. If I go back to the floor plan, TM, please stop me if the team have any questions about any of the items that I'm doing now, just because it is a little bit confusing sometimes. So please let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, no worry.
So it's very important. So ignore that there's no eaves here. This is just for an example, mainly looking at the rake eave for the garage, okay? So on a standard job, we'll have 450 eaves to the front. In order for you to produce the raked ceiling, you have to provide 450 eaves to the side, to the rear of. I'll provide 450 more eaves. Then what I will do is I'll put a little hot spot right there where the roof meets the wall. Right there. Because we're just going to straighten this side up. So it runs flush with the wall. So if there's a wall here, that end of the eave is just going to run flush up against the wall. Once I've provided 450 eave to the rear, I'm going to provide a 450 mil eave to this side as well. I'm going to give you two different examples. This current example is if the garage is 200 mil off the boundary. Okay. So I'm going to provide 450 eave here. So there we go. I've got 450 mil eave all around the dwelling. But now I need to adjust it so that I've got my gutter is sitting here like we normally would. 200 off the boundary. All you do is grab this roof and I drag the whole roof in 450 mil. Once that's done, you'll just adjust these roofs to adjust the roof on the either end, and that's it. So the edge of my eave is flush with my brickwork, so that it allows my fascia and gutter to sit here. So this is where my fascia and gutter will be, in this little section here. If I go to my front elevation now, to lower the brickwork of your wall. You'll have to lower the walls slightly just because we've adjusted it. There we go. But do you see what's happened? See how now it looks like a nice full roof, proper roof? When I compare it to what it looked like previously. How it had this little cut here. It now comes straight up. It's got a nice little angle. It cleans it up. So this is how we do a raked ceiling. This is pretty much done for all our display homes that are 200 mil or zero lot line, as well as how we actually do a raked ceiling on our client files as well. If, for instance, this house is zero lot line and we have to provide a raked ceiling, you pretty much do the exact same thing that we did that we normally do. So
Andrew, can I ask a
Yeah.
question? Like, why do we need to have the rack ceiling in garage?
Garage. So for the display, so for a display purpose, it looks better with a raked ceiling. Externally, do you see how we have a cut eave here?
Yeah.
When you actually build it, it does not look good. It looks very unfinished with a cut eave. So we provide a raked ceiling because it improves the way the roof looks.
Okay.
So for
got it.
example, if we were to do it for our client files, it actually reduces our ceiling height. Not our ceiling, it reduces how high the wall is at 1 meter from the boundary. So you know how normally we provide a dimension. So what I'll do is I'll grab this dimension here. And I'll put this dimension here. All right. Off the boundary. 1 meter in. Okay. So this is how high my roof is right now with a raked ceiling. This is how high this point is, 1 meter off the dwelling, off the boundary, the dimension that we put on all our jobs. If I was, for instance, to remove the raked, I'm going to remove the rake now. I'll drag this back out, 450. Put this. I'll ignore that rear one for now. Go there, and I'll cut the gutter. There we go. I've put it back to the way it originally is. If I go back to my front elevation, look at the height now. From 3166, the height is now 3352. So if we've got in a situation where we're putting a lot of fill at the front and the height is way too high for compliance, we provide rake ceiling so that we get that, so we can lower the height by nearly 200 mil so we can get compliance.
Yep.
And if I go into 3D, ignore it's not going to be a complete build, but hopefully this works.
Các bạn hiểu đoạn này không? Tức là trong cái nhà display house nó có những cái lý do tại sao mình phải làm cái rack ceiling ở đó. Thứ nhất là về thẩm mỹ. Tại vì cái nhà đó là cái nhà mẫu mình xây để cho khách hàng người ta vô người ta xem mà, thì nó đẹp thì người ta mới muốn mua, đúng không? Cho nên là nếu như mà mình không có làm cái rack ceiling đó, thì cái mái nó vẫn ở trên cao và nó sẽ bị cắt mất cái ịp 450. Giống như cái mái nó đang xéo xong rồi cái nó cắt xuống như vậy thì nó sẽ không có đẹp. Thì họ làm cái rack ceiling để mà cái mái mình nó được liên tục là cái thứ nhất. Cái thứ hai nữa là trên thực tế nhiều khi là khi mình làm survey ấy, thì cái phần ngay chỗ gara nó sẽ bị fill. Nó bị fill nhiều. Thì như hồi nãy lúc mà mình làm cái rack ceiling đó, cái đường dim cách 1 mét từ ngoài boundary vào thì nó đã tới 3 mét 1 bao nhiêu đó rồi, nó gần quá 3 mét 2 rồi. Cho nên nếu mà các bạn không làm cái rack ceiling, các bạn đẩy cái mái lên thì chưa tính cái fill ở dưới thì nó đã cao hơn 3 mét 2, nó sẽ không thỏa. Cho nên đó là lý do tại sao mà mình phải bỏ thêm cái rack ceiling vô trong trường hợp này. Được chưa? Còn cái đoạn trước thì Andrew hướng dẫn các bạn là cái cách vẽ, và nếu như mà phía bên ngoài gara nó là hơn 1 mét đó thì nó bình thường, còn nếu mà nó là wall boundary thì đây là cái cách vẽ này, cái cách đặt gutter thì đoạn trước Andrew nói rồi. Có ai hỏi gì cho đoạn này nữa không? Có thì có, không thì không, đừng im lặng mọi người ơi, đáng sợ lắm. Ok. On good, Andrew.
Oh, good. Perfect. So doing it when it's this. So this is if it's 200 mil off the boundary, we just drag this in 450. If it is 0 lot line, we do the exact same scenario, but instead of 450, I'll drag this in 600. Why 600? So you know when we're doing 0 lot line, we grab our roof and we drag it in another 150. That's all it is. So I drag this in 600, and then you do the exact same scenario, exact same thing we did before. Adjust the sides of the roof, and then there it is. It's 150 in, so we can have gutter on brick. Then we'll have to nominate this little, see this pitching point here? That pitching point is 510 inside of the slabs. So what I do is I grab a dash line in, and I'll draw a little line like that. And then we'll nominate this as raked ceiling. And that's it. That's pretty much how you draw the rake ceiling. It's very easy to do. The final part of our little session today, it is not regarding display homes, but it is more about setting up the window schedules, because I can see a lot of the window schedules are being done very differently on a lot of files, and for consistency, we need them done the same way. So this is a job that that crossed my desk that I worked on a couple of days ago, and I'm using this one as an example. So one item that I'd like to go over is, for instance, once it finishes loading, I'm afraid, sorry. I'll close this so I can speed up. If I was to marquee all this, I've got this bedroom note is custom. If I go up here on the ground floor, nothing. All right, perfect. If I look at this one, the front entry door, it's all multiple different. It's got text. It's got one view here, another view here. This is, yeah, perfect, done. So it is quite multiple different views. And then if I was to open up the view of the window schedule for, let's say, the first floor, open up this. It's down here. It's in this window schedule here. But we have window schedules up here. So then it becomes very confusing when we're finalizing a file, or if I'm making a change in a variation and I'm adding a new window and I go into this window schedule to amend it, or to amend one of these ones, I assume I'm amending it, but it's incorrect because this isn't the view that's linked to the layout book. These ones are. So we shouldn't be creating any. So this is the same thing with the areas. It's the same thing with the garage door schedules. There are times when new schedules are being created. There is no need to create any additional schedules, because on all masters there are schedules here, and it's just understanding how to edit those schedules. So in some jobs you'll have 4 versions of the window schedule. You'll have a version 18 schedule, and then you'll have a pre-version 18 schedule. The version 18 schedule we can get rid of. We don't need those ones. We don't use those ones anymore. They're showing incorrect information. We'll use the pre-version 18 schedule. Okay. If, for instance, we have to add fill to the window or glazing to the window, there are times where when I see jobs, we're putting fill, we're adding a fill here. We're putting a fill right there to add the glazing to the window. It doesn't work, because if we make an edit to the window, this fill will be sitting somewhere over here. The way to correctly do this change, there are two ways that we can do this change. First way is if we go to the window schedule or go to any window, I'll edit this front facade window to be glazing. For instance, I'll select the window, go into the window settings, go to all parameters, and if you scroll down to the very bottom, where it says surfaces, it either says surfaces or it will say materials. Open this and look where it says glass for the glass one. Where it nominates glass, you'll select it and you'll just change it to translucent. Translucent glazing. Hit enter. Okay. Now if I go to my front elevation, automatically it changes it, and that's part of the window. The window is now has translucent glazing into it. If I go to my first floor, this window has translucent glazing to it. If we make a change to the schedule, if I delete windows and this window moves, that stays with it. It's always going to be part of the window. This is how we should be making that change. If you find you don't have any translucent glazing fill or the material translucent glazing, what you will do is these overlooking windows that we have, these ones here, or the overlooking ones that we use, what I will do is I will just copy and paste it from the reference file, copy paste any overlooking, it doesn't matter which one you do, copy and paste it into this CAD file or the CAD file that you're working on. And what that will do, it'll copy across the translucent film or the translucent material. Have I lost you there, Tien, or is that understandable?
Mọi người hiểu không?
Hiểu.
Tức là cái bản Windows Schedule hồi xưa giờ các bạn làm nó không có đồng nhất, thì bây giờ Andrew chỉ cho các bạn cái cách thể hiện đúng thôi. Ví dụ hồi xưa giờ mình xài cái fill mình trồng lên trên cái view của cái Windows Schedule, thì đôi khi các bạn mua cái cửa hoặc là các bạn chỉnh cái viewport thì nó sẽ nhảy so với cái fill của mình. Thì bây giờ mình chỉnh hẳn trong cái cửa luôn là cách thứ nhất. Còn cách thứ hai Andrew nói cho ta này, anh hơi bị lạc trôi chỗ đó.
Ông nói Andrew nói là nếu mà cái cửa đó mà nó không có sẵn, tại vì có những cái cửa nó không phải là cửa nào nó cũng có thể chỉnh cái surface được, nên nếu mà cái cửa đó mình không chỉnh surface được á, thì mình có thể lấy một cái cửa mà nó chỉnh được á, mình copy cái đó mình pass vô, cái đó nó không thành vấn đề.
Loại cửa thì sao, mấy cái khung viền đồ này nó có giống không?
Thì nó vẫn xài được anh, ví dụ như nó là awning thì nó đều là awning hết, mà nó đều là sliding thì nó là sliding hết, nó như nhau, mình chỉ chỉnh là kích thước cửa thôi.
Vậy là
một cái cửa màu
hết luôn.
Chỉnh được đó, mình copy pass.
Yep. Ok luôn.
Lớp cửa kính với lại cái loại kính thì sao?
Cái đó không phải.
If for instance you cannot get that translucent material onto the window, which there shouldn't be any reason why we shouldn't be able to, but if you cannot for any reason, the last resort is using a fill. But for that fill, I don't want the fill put on the layout book. There is actually a way to put the fill on the window using the schedule. So if I go to the window schedule, doesn't matter which one, choose any window. All you do is if you select, double click on the window. I double click on the window, it takes me to like a window editor or like a view editor. All I do is I just add the fill in. I'll just leave that, that's fine for now. Hit OK. And you can see the fill adds to the window. This is it's more of a last resort shortcut. This is more of a last resort shortcut for us to be able to get this one to work. If for any reason you're unable to get the windows to work or the room schedules to work, these names not to appear, that's an easy fix. If I go to my first floor, these are custom names. Okay. Instead of putting the so here it says location, there's nothing there. Put it in manually if you need to. If for any reason you're unable to get the automatic schedule, so if I go to the other version, how you cannot edit this one here, now it's uneditable. If you're unable to edit it, if you go to scheme settings, where it says zone name, this, I know this is an issue with the 25 masters. When we do the conversion from ArchiCAD 18 to ArchiCAD 25, the zoning does not work anymore. It glitches out and it prevents it from working in the schedule. A very easy way to fix it, if I go to zone name, I hit remove, delete that zone. If you go to these available parameters, it looks a little bit different in 25, but it has the exact same set out. Under general, any one of these, select custom text, any one, hit add, and then all you'll do is then you can just sit there editing and write location. Then you'll just manually put in all the room names, whatever it is. You'll manually write the names in. Does anyone have any questions or concerns or anything regarding the window schedules that they want to ask now, so that I can go through it now whilst we have the opportunity?
Yeah. If we have any question, I will combine and collect it to send you after this meeting.
Yeah, that's fine. What you can do is, if you have any questions regarding any of the material, please send it to me and we can go through it. If, for instance, anyone's having an issue with the schedule after they've done a conversion and they're unable to get anything to work either for the window schedule or they're not sure how to complete it, I am more than happy if you need to die, send me, contact me, send me an urgent email and request an urgent meeting. And I can even jump on Teams with you and share screens with you, and I can guide you live on the job and show you how to amend it on the job straight away. If that works better as a more on the spot fix, so that your team actually sees the process actually happening and how to actually fix it on the job they're working on. If that works, I'm more than happy to do that.
Yes. That must say they will.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
Not a problem, Di. All right. Thank you, team. Have a great day, and we will talk very, very soon.
Thank you for taking the time for us.
Not a problem.
Yeah. See ya.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Rồi bây giờ á, cái này nó đã được việc gọt rồi thì anh sẽ từ từ dừng con bằng chứng chip gọt.